go hit another cross.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Predator666 UFC, along with Irish and Gordon Fan, and we're bringing you our first edition into this week's Legends Racing. That is our title name. Basically, what we're doing is this is going to be like a quote-unquote TV show where we will talk about last week's races for both Legends Xfinity and Legends Cup Series, and then we'll also talk about the upcoming race and our predictions on who's going to win that and big events that's going to be happening, and what transpired due to the races. Welcome, Irish and Gordon Fan. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. Good, whatever. I don't know.
All right. Well, the first things first. With the, I'm gonna start off with my software. Ever since I got my Hogpog, not sponsored by them. Ever since I have gotten my Hogpog, which is an HD PVR for some people that don't know. Basically how I'm recording right now. I take the clips, I split them, I cut them, I make them look pretty, and I put them into Windows Live Movie Maker. I've been doing that with my old channel, and then my old channel got banned because of copyright usage for using copyrighted music. That's my fault, nobody else's. That's a different story. So, been using Windows Live Movie Maker. A lot of people have been having problems with it. With processing their videos and saving their videos. If you want to upload it to YouTube, you have to save it a specific way in order for it to A, look good, and B, to have the full video, and C, just upload it, basically. So I've been doing that, and then recently it's been not processing my videos, making it very difficult. So I got to a point where I downloaded new software. First race I've done it was the Daytona race, which we are going to be talking about. It was the Cup race. It was the Coke Zero 400. Long story short, it was a good video. It didn't have music and it didn't have captions. Still learning all the tools and stuff. Then I messed around too much with the tools for the Xfinity, and it was basically shit. So that's the update for the software. Now getting into the Daytona race that we had on Sunday, not a couple days ago, but last week, sometime in June. It was like June 27th or something. So long story short, Predator wins his seventh race this season. Long race, we had at least 10-15 green white checkers because of the 1, 2, or 3 spot getting spun. It would be an automatic caution and going into the green white checkered. Now, Irish, you were there. Gordon Fan, you weren't. Irish, what do you think of the race? Just it in general. With all the green white checkers we had, all the different leaders we had. I believe you were one of them that didn't lead a lap. You were the only one, to be exact, to not lead a lap.
Yes. Um, pretty, pretty interesting race, in my view. Uh, I wasn't really trying to lead laps. I was just trying to push people up there. And every time I got up there, I'd get spun, and then I would bring out another green white checkered. So the end there was a little stressful, but we got through it.
Now, Irish, it was your first, or it was the last race that we would see three people, Gemini, Dason, and you, Irish, to be on a team and then switch over to a different team. If that makes sense. So
Yes.
basically, Gemini and Dason were on the Fast and Furious racing team. They left to make their own team, but it was their last race at Daytona for the Cup Series to be on the Fast and Furious. While Irish Miner was with Gordon Fan with Need for Speed, and it was his last race to be on Need for Speed and going to a different team. Gordon Fan, how do you feel Gemini and Dason leaving the whole team of Fast and Furious, because you were on the Fast and Furious racing team, one of the dominant racing teams we have seen, basically the Hendrick Motorsports racing team of this league. How do you feel of Gemini and Dason leaving that team and going to create their own team and have Fords?
Well, I think it's kind of a shock, really, because I mean they're still at the top of their game, and to leave one of the most dominant teams in this league right now is just well, absolutely mind-boggling. But usually, they have reasons for leaving, and they want to pursue their own things and create their new teams and bring in a Ford into the mix of nothing but Chevys and Toyotas, and I feel that they're going to make something happen over there, and I don't think the Fast and Furious team is going to get affected all that much, because with Predator, well, your leadership and your power driving the team, I think the Fast and Furious team is still going to do really well, despite the fact that Gemini and Dason are going to be leaving. Now, as for Irish, on the other hand, I'm back to a single car team. Thank you. Well, I think he's going to do well as well, because of course we were teammates. I have seen him run. He is a really good driver, and I think that when he joins Gemini's team, that he's going to have a lot of his potential tapped, and he'll go out there and really be successful. So I think it's going to be a smart move for Gemini and Dason to go out and form their own team.
Now, Irish, what do you think of Dason and Gemini leaving the Fast and Furious team to make their own team? Because I personally, I went from a Ford to a Chevy last year in the Nationwide Series. Gordon fan, you know that. I was driving the 60 car. I was a Ford. I wouldn't say I was dominating, but I was winning races and being up front most of the race. And then I switched to a Chevy. I switched to 88 in the Nationwide Series, and I did that for about a month, and it was the worst time of my career in the Nationwide Series. I did not win one race. I did not get a top three in that month when I switched over to Chevys. Now, Irish, do you think that Gemini and Dason will have a hard time switching from a Chevy to a Ford, just like I did in the Nationwide Series from a Ford to a Chevy? Or do you think that they will be a key factor in this, in not only in the series, but in the league?
Um, my my personal belief is at first they're going to have they're gonna have a little bit of troubles with the Fords. But I I think they're all three of them are going to work together and get a pretty good setup for each track and figure out the Ford and probably be up front in a couple weeks. But I think at first they're going to be probably in the back for a few weeks. That's my prediction. Not totally gonna, probably not gonna be right, but I think they're gonna be in the back for a few weeks until they get Ford figured out. That's some people are good with Ford's sense.
Now, I, Irish, you started out with a Toyota. You started out with
Yeah.
the Joe Gibbs racing team with Wild Thing. To be honest, you stuck your nose in, and you had every right to talk trash about the team. In my opinion, I don't know how Gordon fan feels, but I believe you were holding the team up.
Yeah.
When you left the team, how did it feel from going to a Toyota to a Chevy? Was it different? Did it feel the same? Did you feel better? What?
Well, I didn't leave Joe Gibbs. I was forced out of the car. Um, by Wild Thing. I don't know. Not really a smart move, but okay. Um, But I've also been in 5 different leagues, and I've only run Chevy, so I'm pretty used to a Chevy by now. I wanted to run a Toyota in this league to see if it was any different, and then I went back to Chevy because I like Chevy a little bit better. But yeah, I was pretty used to Chevy, so it really wasn't that big of a difference switching. But when I switched to Toyota, that was pretty big.
Now, moving on to the Daytona race, or well, more into the Daytona race. Uh, Maverick leads the lead. He, we get to one of the green white checkers, and I quote, I said, "This will be if we have another caution, we will go into one more green white checker. After that, we're done." Um, and Maverick was getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated. I know Irish and a couple other people were getting frustrated. Um, but with Maverick, he had every right to be frustrated because I don't know how many times he should have won the race with everything that was going on. I believe I counted up to 4 times he should have won the race. Um, and then we go into another green white checker. Caution comes out. Uh, I take the lead across the start finish line by maybe like a quarter of a car, and Maverick leaves the race, believing that it was the last time we would go into a green white checker, and it was the end of the race, all that. And he was upset. He was mad. He was not happy, and he didn't want to continue. Um, Now, did you honestly think that Maverick would actually leave the league after that race? From Gordon fan? I know you weren't there, but
Well, I know I wasn't there, but well, I'm kind of glad I wasn't because I wouldn't deal with all the drama. But well, I know he has every right to be mad, and of course, and it was also a plate race, and later in the going, things can get a little bit antsy between everybody, and they can be forced to make a mistake. But with the 3-car rule at the end of a green-white checker, or on the last lap of it, I mean, it gives everyone else a fair chance to win. If they, get screwed over, they can get back up front.
yeah.
But the,
I'm sorry, but the reason why we have that rule is because, quote unquote, me, um, we, I would dominate a whole entire race, and that last lap, that 1 second that I'm not in first, I get taken out, and it's just me. It's only one car. We can't call a caution for one car. It's a 2-car caution. So, we went from that rule to where it was just the 3 cars, and it just, when it comes to play tracks, it makes everything worse because we have so many cars from top to bottom getting spun and not getting the call to caution.
Well, yeah, and that's pretty much why we have the rule in place. Now, as far as Maverick leaving, I think I know, like I said, he has every right to be mad, but I think I'm kind of surprised that he left because I mean he was doing pretty well in the standings and in the races and whatnot. He was the defending champion going into this season, but I mean, still has like a lot to look forward to, and then now he's gone and he doesn't know like what his future is going to hold. No, but I think I'm pretty sure about this. May come back for a couple races. That's what I think.
Well, moving on from there, we go into the Daytona race. Maverick returns, quoting that this might be my last race. He said that if the race is good, I don't care if I win, I don't care if I get last. If I believe the race is good, I will stay. If the race is crap, I will leave, and I don't know when I will return, or even if I will return. And for that, he goes and wins the race. Uh, uh, you know, there was a lot of drama. We had, I don't know the exact laps we had for a green or not a green light checker, but a green flag run. But I know it was 24 minutes long because I did the video and all that. But it was basically, Gemini and Dason in their first ever race in a Ford. And Dason, in the Sunday race, he was not even close to being up front. He was in the back of the pack most of the race. And Gemini, in Friday's race, he was dominating. He had, he had me behind him, and I was pushing him, and I was so aggressive. Um, it was phenomenal. I did not believe both of them would change and be so have such a good car, just like that. They both started 1-2 in the beginning of the race. Now, getting later in the race, things started happening. Wild Thing lagged out, but that's him. He either lags out or he loses the bikes. Um, and then we get later in the race. Uh, you know, everybody starts to get squirrely. I know I did a couple times. There was a time where Dason got very, very squirrely, and he kept going up and down the track. And me and him were up there for a couple. We were up there by like maybe 3 seconds. And long story short, I just got very frustrated with him because we had like 22 laps or 12 laps or something like that to go, and we had a 3 second lead. And I told him he either needs to straighten his car out, or I'm going to dump his ass and I'll fight them myself. Now, how do you guys feel? Irish, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel when a car, especially at a plate track, a car in front of you is going up and down and can't hold a straight line, and you have a decent lead with very minimum laps to go? How do you, like, what would you do? How would you feel in your head or in everything, basically?
Oh, I think I would definitely get frustrated. Um, Probably. Um, I understand what you did. You make total 100% sense, because what happens is he goes up the track and comes down on your nose and you both wreck. Then you pretty much lose. You both lose that lead. So it's definitely frustrating when someone can't hold a straight line even on plate tracks. So you need to hold a straight line on plate tracks, because all that matters is about speed on plate tracks. So if you can't hold a straight line, then you shouldn't be up up front with that big of a lead if you can't really hold it.
Now, Gordonfield, what do you think? If somebody in front of you can't hold a straight line and you have a 3, 4, 5 second lead with 12 or 10 laps to go, what goes through your mind? What are you thinking, and what do you think you should do?
Well, I think pretty much whatever, Iris just said. Like, is he going to come down and wreck me on accident, or am I going to wreck him and not even touch him? But do I get around him? Do I stay behind him and keep building, or at least keep trying to build the lead? But you have all those variables in your mind, and it sort of like drives you crazy inside the car holding on to the controller. Now, what I would do in this situation, I would just say, hey, you're moving all over the place, let me by, and then you can push me. I'll keep my best to hold a straight line on the bottom, and then you'll follow me down there, because that's the best way to hold a straight line at these plate tracks, especially Daytona, is run on the bottom, close to the apron, right by the double file yellow line, and you could pretty much be straight all the way through. But, of course, there are still some times when you hit the apron and then you just like go up the track, and that's another thing that you gotta like consider. Is he gonna hit the apron and come back up? Then it'll pretty much just be madness if it all goes wrong. But if it goes right, then you can make some progress on the field.
Now, we we had a very good race, and in my opinion, from Sunday's race going into Friday's race, we improved a lot. We had the same amount of cars that we did on Sunday. What I noticed, and both of you weren't there, but what I noticed for the Friday's race, and this will shock both of you. A lot of people wanted to jump to the outside and have an outside line working. I know me and Maverick were doing it quite a lot, because, for instance, Gemini and Dacer would be working together, and they would be first and second, and me and Maverick would be third and fourth, and we wanted to get past them, and what would you do? You don't really want to bump them out of the way, because that's a wreck gonna happen. So you get a little bit ballsy, you get a little bit gutsy, and you go side by side in turn one or two or 3 and 4. And me and Maverick did it throughout the whole entire race. And what do you guys think with when we go to Daytona and Talladega? Normally, 99% of the time, you see everybody on the low line, the bottom line. Does it surprise you that some people go up on the outside line to try to have an outside line working or to get past somebody? Are you a Gordon fan?
Well, I mean, you just got to go with the line that's moving, right? It's like the real deal. If a certain line is moving, you go with that line. And if you're out in front, you move back and forth, blocking the guy. But, well, of course, on this game, since the physics are different and we run faster than the real guys, from what I can tell, it's usually best to stay on the inside. But if the guys find an outside lane, they'll go with it, and they can make progress up there. They just got to have a good amount of people going up there committed to the outside, and that's how that they're going to make something happen up there.
Irish, what do you think with the outside line?
I think, like you said, it's really gutsy. Real risky move. But if every person is on a bottom line, there's gonna be no passing. It's gonna be single file. So if you go to the outside and try to make a pass, then you can try to see if you can get up front, because everyone's going to be working on that inside. So with them, I think that's a really good move. If it works, I think it's a good move, because everyone wants the inside and they tried the outside. they don't have people following them, I guess. Yeah.
Now,
Wait, but like Gordon Fan said, you do need the people. You just can't be by yourself up there. You definitely need the people with you on the outside line. Because you're not
Because
going to
you're
get
going to get
past
freight
that.
trained if you're the only one on the outside trying to make a move, and
yeah,
everyone else is on the bottom.
it's a plain and simple fact, and getting into the final laps, me and Maverick were, we were the only two. I think we had like a 4 second lead or something. Um, but I'll get in that in a couple minutes. But we back to the squirreliness. I'm sorry I got off that topic. Back to the squirreliness. Everybody was squirrely. You guys see it. Well, I don't know if you guys see it, but I've seen it a lot. Especially at Daytona. I'm not a lot at Talladega, but at Daytona you can definitely see somebody slide up, get a little bit loose or whatever. Maverick claimed that his car was loose. He couldn't find a right adjustment for it. And Jim, I know he was loose. Dason, he was having problems. I was loose sometimes, but I was majority. I was tight more than anything. But long story short, Gemini and Maverick kept getting into it. Gemini claims that Maverick was, uh, wrecking into him on purpose, and door slamming him. And long story short, I'm going to bring up a tweet. 3 days ago, Gemini said, finish sixth because Maverick decided instead of giving up his position when I clearly had it, he would make it his position. And then going into it, he said, door slam after door slam after door slam. Anytime I got near that asshole, which is Maverick, he is 90% why I left his fucking team. And then the last tweet, he said he was doing the same thing to his own teammate. Shows what kind of person he is, a fucking dickhead. And Maverick, of course, would go on to win the race by half a car length to his little brother, aka me. Now, do you guys understand the frustration? Do you think Gemini is going overboard? Do you think Gemini should go even more? The league officials have said enough is enough. If you keep saying this, if you keep going on, you will be penalized. Irish, what do you think of all this with Maverick door slamming him because he is loose? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
That's a hard decision. You really don't really ever want to door slam anyone. It's just dumb. You really don't want to door slam anyone. Where I door slam people is under caution because they wrecked me. Yeah, and I just want to get a little bit of revenge, but I don't do it when we're racing. I just do it under caution and just get over with and I fall back to my spot. But I don't really think it's a good decision to door slam someone when you're racing just because they're loose. But that's a hard say.
Now, Gordon fan, do you think Gemini has every right to be upset? Do you think he's going overboard with it? Do you think that we'll see more of his attitude or his frustrations getting into the race?
Well, yeah, he has every right to be mad, but I think that he should just calm it down a little bit. I mean, he can still, express like his frustration and distaste, but he just needs to keep it on the down low because if he goes any more than he already did on Twitter, then he's gonna have to pay the price for it.
Now, after the race, besides Twitter, Maverick was going to celebrate, but it ended shortly because Gemini was beating and banging on his car. Now, Maverick has told everybody that he does not wreck anybody unless his name is NASCAR WWE fan. A lot of people know Maverick's frustrations with NASCAR WWE fan. Irish, you have dealt with them. Gordon fan, you have dealt with them. I've dealt with them. A lot of people have dealt with NASCAR WWE fan, but he is gone. He's not returning. And he's no longer going to be in this league anymore. So Maverick isn't that type of person to go and wreck somebody on purpose, even if you spin him out. He will call it out. He will, yell at you. He will talk to you, but he never hits your car. He doesn't affect your car. So moving on into Kentucky, do you guys think that we will see Maverick and Gemini round 2 going at it? Irish?
Um, I don't. It's hard to say. Um, I think they would say do round 2 if it was like a, if the race was a day or two later. But I think Gemini had a whole week to calm down now, and maybe he's nice and calm now. I'm not sure. Haven't really talked to him at all. But yeah, he's had a whole week to calm down. I don't really, my book, I don't really think there should gonna be a round 2 because he had a whole week to calm down.
Gordon?
I think it's more like round 1.5. I mean, he. I agree with Irish. He has had a week to calm down, but I think that, like I said earlier, he's still gonna show a little bit of displeasure because he's gonna be like, "Hey, you did this to me, and you're. I'm just letting you know how I feel about it, and I didn't like it. And if it happens again, oh well."
Now, we go into Kentucky for the Xfinity Series, and a lot has changed from NASCAR 14 to NASCAR 15 for this league and for the series. First, it's going to be our first race with full damage on in NASCAR 15, something we haven't done. This will be our third race on NASCAR 15. Do you and plus we have a new rule where we have 10-minute practice before qualifying. We have 10-minute practice. We go out, practice, get our setups ready, and then we go and qualify for 10-minute group qualifying. Then we get to race. Now, Gordon fan, you don't really race in Xfinity, but do you think this is a good idea for the league and where we're going? Besides of just, hey, we're going to do setups, like it or not. We're not going to have any time to practice. It's on your own.
Well, I think this is a good thing for especially the drivers who don't have setups for the places that they go to. And this is a good opportunity for them to, go out and race traffic, practice the passing and overtaking, the drafting, see how the car feels, make adjustments when needed, so when they go into qualifying, they can be able to go out there and set the fastest time they can. And that will probably be the key to preparing them for the race, and that is those 10-minute practice.
And Irish, you have dominated in the Xfinity Series, winning 3 races. Your new team owner has 4 wins this season. You and him are going at it. Do you think this is a right move moving into this series, or do you think we should just lay back and wait for another date?
Oh, I think this is going to be perfect because I think you're going to see the qualifying times higher now because the people are going to have setups and they're going to have setups after practice, and so they're going to all the times are probably going to be higher, which that brings out more competition. with when you have higher lap times. Um, I think um, different people are gonna get poles now because you have a practice lobby, so you get to see where everyone's running, where everyone, what time the rear one is running before you go into qualifying, like they do in real life. Um, but yeah, I think it's gonna be really, really good. Um, and like you said, I've been dominating, or no, not really. I've been having more wins than I have in Cup in this series. Um, but yeah, I just think it's a really good move, and probably it's going to be a little bit more competition than usual because you have that extra 10 minutes of practice.
Now, getting into the Kentucky race, Kentucky is a lot of people believe it's a hard track, and some people believe it's a cookie cutter. I think it's a very hard track to get a decent run. My car is very tight. You can climb up the track very, very quick without even knowing, and smack into the wall. Strawberg won there in his debut race. He's no longer with this league. Gordon Fan, I know you don't race, but who do you believe will go and step up and either get another win or get their first win in this series?
Well, for me, I think that's a tough call, because I mean, Kentucky is a tough track because, of course, of the flat banking and the track surfaces, and of course the day and night sort of thing. But I think I may go with you, Predator, for winning Kentucky, because I mean, you're on a roll. You have 7 wins already. You won Daytona. You're on a ton of momentum. You were fast at Kentucky before, and I think you're gonna pull it off, do it again.
Irish.
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna stick with I'm not gonna really stick with Gordon Fan's decision, but I'm gonna stick with family trait, and I'm gonna go with Maverick. He won he won last week, and I think he won Cup or Xfinity, yeah, because Cup was off. He won Xfinity race at Daytona last week. Um, and I think that's going to be a real turning point for him, and he's probably going to step up his game because now he has the win. He's probably going to step up his game and probably turn up and get couple more wins now.
Now, moving into the Cup Series for the Kentucky race, it's our first official. It's our first race that's basically anybody and everybody will step up their game. Daytona, that's an easy track. You know, you can anybody can win that race. But last year we saw the first ever time somebody going and restarting at the start finish line. Gordon Fan, you were affected by that. Maverick was the first one, and still does the restart at the start finish line. You, in my opinion, you were supposed to win that race. Moving in to Kentucky, is that out of your head? Is that going to affect you? Did you learn your lesson? Do you think you're going to be in victory lane on Sunday?
Well, I mean, well, it's still sort of in my head because I know I should have won that race because I was the dominant car. But the thing is, with Maverick leading, I did not know that he would be going at the start finish line. Like normally I would just go at the box, like the first line of the box. But when I did that, I saw Maverick didn't go, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta slow down. And I had to give the position back. But in turn, on that final one, you got around both me and Maverick, and then you ended up stealing the win, like, out of nowhere. But I think that if I bring back that same car that I dominated with at Kentucky, then I'm pretty sure that I got a fighting chance this year.
Irish, who do you got in the Kentucky race?
For what series?
Cup.
Cup. Cup. Um, Probably you, Predator. You've been pretty dominant the whole year in Cup. Um, you what's it called? Been pretty average with your finishes. Yeah, that's pretty much who I got for Cup. Kentucky.
All right. Well, getting into the chase, a new chase format for the Xfinity Series, same chase for the format for the Cup. Um, Originally, we had 12 drivers getting into the chase for the Xfinity, and with the lack of people, we cut it down to 7. Um, Only 5 drivers in the Xfinity Series has won, um, with only 2 spots remaining. Gordon, I want to get your opinion on this because you don't normally race in the Xfinity Series. Who do you got? 7 drivers. You have Predator, Don, Irish, Maverick, and Wild Thing. Who are the 2 spots going to be in the Xfinity Series?
I feel it's going to be Predator and Wild Thing. That's just who I think is going to be in the final 2. So I know it's still a little ways off, but I think that's who we're going to see fighting for the championship at the end of the year.
I'm sorry, that came out wrong. I meant who do you think is going to be the final 2 in the 7th slot in the chase? As in, who's going to fill the final 2 spots in the chase?
So who are the guys again?
You have Predator, Irish, Maverick, Wild Thing, and wrong thing. Predator, Don, Irish, Maverick, and Wild Thing in the 5 spots. Who's going to fill 6 and 7 in the chase?
Well, that's a tough question because I don't really know who races in the Xfinity Series on a regular basis, but well, who is outside looking in? That's what I would like to know. So that way I can give
Well,
my personal response.
you have Gemini in 6th place, and then you have in 7th place Dason, and he's on the bubble. Gemini is basically locked in unless 2 drivers outside of the chase wins. X360 Fades is 8th, and he's outside of the bubble. But he doesn't have NASCAR 15, so he's basically out of the chase. Brandon Wyatt, who has officially announced that he's going to be full-time in both Xfinity and Cup, and a newcomer, FCGT18, which is also teammates with Gemini and Dason.
I think it's going to be Gemini and Dason. That's who I think is going to fill out the 7-man chase.
Irish, who do you think is going to fill out the 7-man chase?
I'm definitely picking Gemini. I like Gordon Finn's decisions. I haven't seen. I don't know how to say his name. This is the new guy in the team. I haven't seen him race, so I really can't say if he's gonna be out, if he's gonna be in the chase now. Since I haven't seen him race, I've never met him race. but I think I'm going to go with Gordon Fan's decision and go with Gemini and Daisy.
All right, now getting into the final three in the Xfinity Series. Who do you believe is going to be battling for the championship at Homestead? The final three, Irish.
For Xfinity Series,
Yes, for the Xfinity Series. We'll get to couple in a couple minutes.
for the Xfinity Series, I'll go with Predator, me, and I'll go with Maverick for Xfinity
Gordon
for
fan.
the final three.
I'm going with Editor, Maverick, and Gemini.
Oh, that's a very tough decision. To be honest, the final three, in my opinion, would be Predator, Irish, and Gemini, as my final three. Now, getting into the Cup, completely different. We have 8 drivers filling the chase, and we only have, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only have 5, so there's 3 spots remaining. Who do you think will be in the 8-man chase to fill in the final 3 spots in the 8-man chase? Gordon fan.
Well, for me, it's another really hard decision to fill because I know I wasn't here last week, so I don't know about the entry list or the points, whatever. Just give me a second. Why don't you ask Iris that while I do that? So.
All right. Well, Irish, do you know the points?
I sort of know the
All right. Well,
points.
I
I can look it up too.
okay. We're gonna be looking it up here. So
Which, for what series?
Cut.
for the Cup Series.
Huh.
Now, since I already have it up, the final 3 spots as of now are Gemini, Dason, and X360.
Yes.
But
That's what I said.
X360 does not have NASCAR 15, so like in the Xfinity Series, he may be pretty much out of it. So
And Gemini and Dason already have a win. The people in the Cup Series that have a win is Predator, Gordon Fan, Gemini, and Dason. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 4 spots. We have half of the chase standings remaining. We have 4. At least name one person do you believe that's going to get in, either by a win, who already doesn't have a win, or by points.
I think that Wild Thing's gonna make it on points.
And why is that?
Well, because he doesn't have a win yet, does he?
No, he does not
So-
have a win. But what I was saying was, why do you pick Wild Thing over like Maverick or Irish or, uh, you know, Don?
Wild Thing was the first guy that came to my mind.
Okay. Irish.
The fill the final spot we're going with. I gotta go with Don. Um, he he's not there a lot, but I think he probably is gonna come and get his win and get into the chase. So yeah, I gotta go with Don. 'Cause I've seen him race at Michigan with me, in the Xfinity Series, and he drove his wheels off in that race to try to catch me. Um, so yeah, I gotta go with Don.
All right, final question before we go. Who do you got as the final four battling in the chase? Gordon fan for the Cup Series.
Ooh, now that's gonna be a toughie because that's pretty much half of our chase field. So I personally, I think it's gonna be you, me, and I think Gemini and Maverick.
Irish, who do you got?
I'm going to stick with Gordon Fann's decision and probably make some pick you, Gordon Fan, Gemini, Maverick. Um, and yep.
I believe that it will be down to me, Gordon fan, Maverick, and Irish. Um, the reason why I say that is Gordon fan, we know you would be the dominant car if I wasn't here. I've been dominant the whole entire season. I might even get 10 wins by the time we get to the chase. I don't know. That's just me. So, obviously, me and you are going to be in it unless something happens to one of us. The reason why I pick Irish is because since he has joined our team, it's going to be very, very interesting because he does struggle with the default setups with the Cup Series racing. So it's going to be very, very interesting how things play out. Irish sits in second place in points with the Cup Series, but then again, he's not very good with the with Cup setups. And the wild card is Maverick, and the reason why I picked Maverick over Gemini or Wild Thing, Wild Thing only has I believe two top three finishes, so it's and he doesn't have a win. Um, and then Gemini, yeah, he has two wins, but he hasn't really shown up finish wise in a long time. I think his last win was Bristol, and that was a long time ago. He's been finishing either in the top three or whatever. With Maverick, he shows up constantly. He has won the championship with this series, so I don't see him losing a chase spot to somebody else. So that's my pick. Um, and I said that it was going to be our final question, but I'm just going to throw it in here. Gordon fan, who do you got winning the chase in both series?
Hard to tell, to be honest. But I think you're gonna win Xfinity, and I think it's gonna be a toss-up between you and me in the Cup. So
Irish, who do you got winning both series?
Um, I gotta go with you and Gordon Fan for Cup. It's gonna probably be back and forth with you guys in Cup. Xfinity. I'm gonna go with Maverick.
Maverick in the Xfinity series. All right. Well, my pick is for the Xfinity. It will be a toss up between me, Irish, and Maverick. I think mostly it will be between me and Irish. No clue on who's going to win that. But if the chase, it would be me, Maverick, and Irish, and uh, getting into the race, it would be between me and Irish. Um, for Cup, that's a really tough one. It's a toss-up. Like I gotta agree with you guys, the Gordon fan and myself. We've been dominant the whole entire season. Combined, we have 12 wins, and that's saying something. So, but it's going to be very interesting when we get in the chase. So, but that is our first episode with the this week in Legends Racing. Next week we will talk about the Kentucky races, who surprised you the most, if any big event might happen, and who knows, we might have a guest appearance, or we might have the winner, or whatever. So I want to take this time and thank you guys for coming and joining me for this so-called TV channel type thing, and I hope to see you guys more on this TV channel, Irish and Gordon Fan, and get your insights, not insides. I don't want your organs, but I want to get your insights with the Racing League and the races. So I want to thank you guys for coming. I also want to thank you guys for watching the video, and anything else you guys want to say?
Uh-oh, here we go, hit another crossroad. Better make it count, cause you never really know. Built up, broke down, sick of being pushed around. You want it, you got it, because the time is right now. Steps, one back, thinking I'm about